This video is a continuation of the previous video. We were doing the title, Is Poetry Always Worthy When It Is Old? Under the same title, there are three poets. First one was Kalidasa, second was Bhavabhuti, and now in this video we are going to do the third part, that is byBhartrahari. Bhartrahari lived in the latter half of the 5th century. He was the king of Ujjaini, now Ujjain and Malwa, central India. He belonged to Parmar dynasty and was the elder of King Vikramaditya. He was a Sanskrit poet, philosopher and grammarian. He wrote on good behavior, etiquette and morality. He was a great scholar, poet and lover of poetry. He was a top grammarian, moralist and lover of nature. He was very generous and kind to his subjects. He was a shining star of Indian culture. He was the exponent of moral principles. His works present ideals for human beings and will be a source of inspiration to the people for all time to come. He is popularly known to have been a king who renounced the worldly pleasures and went to the forest to live when he had discovered his queen Pingala's infidelity. Bhartrahari's famous works are Niti Shatak, Shringar Shatak, Vairagya Shatak. Niti Shatak contains 100 verses on ethics, Shringar Shatak contains 100 verses on love, and Vairagya Shatak contains 100 verses on renunciation. In these verses, Bhartrahari has described friendship, altruism, love of justice, and knowledge. Disease, old age, and fear lead us to renunciation. The inner joy is the real joy. The worldly pleasures are ephemeral. The language of Bhartrahari's verses is lucid and have effective beauty, which we are going to see in the poem, which I am just going to read out for you. Of what use is the poet's poem? Of what use is the bowman's dart, unless another senses reel when it sticks quivering in the heart? Scoundrels without the wit to fit a word or two of verse together are daunted not a whit to sin judgment on the abstruse poetry of another. Such men will listen with attentive mind, alert to see how many faults they find. And if they are vexed because they fail to grasp the sense of works conceived for readers of intelligence, they naturally do not blame their foolishness. A girl who is less than perfect always blames the dress. A man lives long who lives 100 years, yet half is sleep and half rest again, old age and childhood. For the rest, a man lives close companion to disease and tears, losing his love, working for other men. Where can joy find a space in this short span? Do not go, I could say, but this is inauspicious. All right, go is a loveless thing to say. Stay with me is imperious. Do as you wish suggests cold indifference. And if I say I'll die when you are gone, you might or might not believe me. Teach me, my husband, what I ought to say when you go away. These have been translated from Sanskrit by John Brow, and these stanzas or these small poems are different, separate parts of containing different themes. Let's begin with the first one. Bhartrahari here says that the poem and the bowman's dart or arrow are useless if they fail to pierce the heart of other people. The effect of a poem on the reader should be just like the effect of an arrow dart which pierces heart. Real success of a poem or an arrow lies in moving our senses by sticking in the heart. Going to the next stanza, that is 4 of the whole poem, that is of Bhartrahari, it is the second. Some lesser critics who cannot write a line or two of a poem do not feel discouraged in the least when they are ready to give a judgment on the difficult poems of other poets. Such critics try to appear wiser than they really are. They are eager for finding as many faults as they can. Bhartrahari here calls such critics scoundrels. When they cannot comprehend a poem or understand a poem, they do not blame their lack of intelligence but find fault with it, just as an ugly girl puts the blame on her dress, saying that her dress is not beautiful. She is beautiful. Coming to the fifth stanza or the third stanza of Bhartrahari. In this stanza, Bhartrahari analyzes human life of 100 years. Man spends half of his life in sleep and again a quarter of it in taking rest, living his childhood and suffering from old age. From the remaining years of his life, he is ill or sheds tears of sorrow. He loses his loved ones and works for others. Thus, most of his 100 years are spent in futile, useless things. He can hardly find joy in this short span of life. In the next or the last stanza or piece of poem, Bhartrahari concentrates on the love that exists between man and wife and the distress at the time of parting. The wife says that she does not know what to say to her husband when he is intent upon departing. Bhartrahari makes a research in the heart of the wife and expresses his feeling at the time of her husband's parting. The wife feels much distressed when her husband is about to depart from her. She wonders what she should say to him at this critical situation. She uses 5 different options to say to her husband at the time of his departure, and she at last says, "Teach me, my husband, what I ought to say when you go away." In this stanza, the wife is distressed at the probability of her husband parting. The wife can tell her husband not to go, but that appears inauspicious. If she says, "All right, go," that shows her lack of love on her part. If she says, "Don't go, stay with me," that is something imperative on her part, commanding, that is. Again, the expression "do as you wish" suggests cold indifference, as if she does not care for him. Another option for her to say, "I will die when you are gone," but it is quite probable he may not believe her. Ultimately, she asks her husband to teach her what she should say when he is departing from her. I hope you have liked these beautiful pieces of poetry, and I hope you will look at the glossary given below and see the meanings for difficult words. Deride means to laugh at someone or something in a way which shows you think they are ridiculous. Ridiculous means funny or of no value. Daunted, not a wit means bit, not discouraged in the slightest. Abstruse means poetry which is difficult to understand. Poetry or anything which is difficult to understand. Hope you have had a good time. Thank you.